Can I work first?
I don't know. It's probably my technique. Oh, see? Why can't I grab how I want to grab, Shaun? Oh, no.
That's not how this works.
I don't like
this
that.
isn't the Aubrey Worek show.
I always wanted to throat punch somebody. I've never done that. Have you?
Have I ever throat punch somebody?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. No.
Oh, don't you
Is that
want
a
to do
common thing? If
Okay.
you're a bald man, it takes a lot for you to look good clean shaven. I think if you're bald,
Oh, because it's just too much. You're like Lex Luthor.
yeah, I think it's a little too much hairlessness.
Yes,
Look like a
right.
hairless cat.
Yeah.
Or a dick.
The man who held the contract, I was like, oh, I'm coming to get you. And I did.
I know your name.
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
My favorite flavor of suffering is probably guilt and comparison. And I think that I work very hard to try to manage that. I get this phone call that he's been in this accident. So I was kind of in the state of shock, and I was like, we didn't know the outcome yet. If he was he going to walk again? We knew he was alive. Am I now in love with someone who is going to be a paraplegic?
Welcome to the Barbells and Bourbon Podcast, the podcast that allows real people to tell real stories. I am your big, bald, bearded, barbell lifting, bourbon drinking son of a bitch, Shaun. And joining me today is Aubrey Worek.
Hi.
Hi, Aubrey.
Glad to be here.
Welcome to our home.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I saw you kind of scanning the shelves
Yeah.
as you were sitting here.
Yeah, I was. I was just checking out, trying not to judge a book by its cover, by the name, just you don't want to judge wine by its label.
I'm not a wine person. I never got into it.
Well, I mean, before I came, I was cramming, and I was like, okay, I want to know everything that I can know about bourbon. And so I'm pretty much an expert now. Ask me anything. Ask me anything.
You probably know them more than me. All right, Aubrey. If there was a song written about your life and your life experiences, what would the name of the song be?
It's funny that you say that. It would be Aubrey, because I was named after a song by this band in the 70s named Bread. They were my dad named me after the song, and I danced with him at my wedding to that song. It's called Aubrey. It's a really pretty song.
Are the lyrics kind of do they apply to you today? I've never heard the song.
I think so.
Yeah?
I'm a little she's this special woman in his life, and it's romantic.
Okay.
But yeah, I think so.
I didn't expect you to answer that so quickly.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to be
I did not
man.
expect that question at all, actually. I haven't brought that up to anyone. Nobody knows that I was named after a song. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, again, welcome. I've been looking forward to our conversation. Someone actually suggested that I reach out to you.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to name drop that person, but you know who you are, and thank you. You're no stranger to the public eye in a good way. Not
Yeah.
you've been on trial or anything.
Not
or,
that I know.
or have you.
Yeah, exactly, right? We'll find out.
But yeah, I'm glad you're here. You're probably my most, I don't want to say famous, I hate that word, but you're definitely my most exposed. Public
maybe
viewed guest. So I'm
it's
looking forward to
with the
digging
Medicare
in.
population. So yeah, because you're referring to Pittsburgh Today Live, and that audience, it's 65 and over. Yeah,
That's you.
that's me.
That's your target
That is
audience.
me. Well, I mean, not with my clientele, but
Yeah.
that's probably the viewers who
Who sees you the most.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to get into Pittsburgh Today Live because
Okay.
we actually have something in common there, which we'll talk about.
Okay.
But Aubrey, can I interest you in a brown, lukewarm, non-refreshing beverage before we start our conversation?
Because I can actually, I can still have alcohol in my diet. So I'm
Okay,
excited.
so when I talked to you earlier and I asked you if you're willing to drink, you said
Yeah.
today's the last day.
Or this week is
This
the
week's
last
the last week.
I'm going to say, yeah.
Please elaborate on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, it's a matter of starting to tighten the reins on my diet I'm training for another bikini show. So it's always so fun to diet over the summer. It's just I can't wait.
Well, there's never a good time.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. I mean, I've done shows over Christmas, And so you like don't have Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of nice because then you're like, oh, I don't feel like such a, you know what?
Just say it. Fat ass.
There you go. Yes.
I knew what you
I
meant.
wasn't sure if I could swear. Your guests, I don't really hear a lot of your guests swearing, and so I will like before I came in, I was like, Aubrey, turn off that, but turn the button.
Look,
Flip the switch.
I want you to be you.
Okay.
You can curse on this podcast. This is a restricted channel anyways, so you have to be
Okay.
18 and over to watch this.
Yeah, this is not suitable for children at all.
I mean, technically no.
yeah.
No,
But, yeah.
no kids are allowed in the bar.
Yeah.
But anyway, does anything look appealing or interesting?
Okay, so before I came, I was like, I want like the double black diamond. What do you got? Let's just go. And now I know. I have a feeling this is not the double black diamond. What is this? What is this? It's like the equivalent of Mad Dog 2020.
That's
I have
called devil's juice.
Yes. It is like looking at me, staring at me. Is this vile?
We're going to have it.
Okay.
I'm so glad you picked that
Oh,
one.
seriously?
So I think you're the third guest that has picked.
Oh, I am? Oh, boo. Let's do
No,
something
not
else.
Boo.
Okay.
Because this is definitely the most unique bourbon I have ever had. And we're going
Are you
leave
going to
it.
put unique in air quotes?
No, it's unique.
Okay. All right. So we got to swish it.
So this is made by McLaughlin Distillery, which
Okay.
is a distillery in Sewickley, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So they're
awesome.
local.
Oh, awesome.
And since all of the stuff is produced in small batches, their stuff's a little more unfiltered, I guess we could say.
Okay.
So
Okay.
sometimes if it's been sitting for a while, things settle.
Okay.
So that's why I'm.
Smell it. Should I wanna
You can
this?
smell it when
I
I-
smell everything that I eat and drink. I like to. Oh. And I forgot. I brought you something that might go with bourbon. Because I was like, all right, chocolate, ice cream, those things go. But I was like, no. Can I pull it out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So these are two
Aubrey
of my
brought a
favorite.
gift.
These are two of my favorite things. Okay. I know like probably maple syrup goes better, but this is the best honey in the world. And this is from a beekeeper that we're friends with. His business is called Z's Bees, and it's like literally tastes like flowers. It's so amazing. I'm a honey connoisseur.
Okay.
And I love to make out.
prunes?
No. Yes, I heard you were a regular, so I brought you prunes. No, these are medjool dates. And everyone who knows me that's watching this, they're like rolling their eyes. They're like, if Aubrey gets one more person hooked on medjool dates, but they're worth every carb.
Shameless
They are
plug.
so delicious. They're so delicious.
Well, thank
Okay,
you.
You are welcome.
So
So welcome.
you just wanted to balance the bourbon with healthiness, didn't you?
did.
You're like,
I did. I
I
have to
can't do
offset it.
this. I
I
have
know.
to. So can you put that back on the shelf,
Yes,
please?
I will. Okay. So this is
And I'm gonna
Devil's
set
Juice number
this-
5.
Yes. Now I want you to give it a little,
Yes, I will.
here.
Swirl.
Let's cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me what you smell.
Hangover,
Correct.
acid reflux,
Correct.
and regret.
Perfect.
Okay.
I think that's.
Am I right
I
on?
think those are the tasting notes on the bottle. All right.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
What do you taste?
Shoot. Well, after the burning sensation, there is something there that I think I have to smell it again. Oh,
Oh wait.
there's a couple different things going on, but
There's
what
a
is
lot
it?
going on.
Campfire. Okay. All right, I'm still letting it go down. What was that? Don't let air go in. Woo!
So campfire is the word I was going to give you to help get your mind going a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. This one's intense. Your eyes are watering.
Yes.
So
Okay, it's
I,
good.
I describe this to people as it's like licking a burnt piece of firewood.
Okay. I was close.
It is probably the most intensely charred tasting bourbon I've ever had.
It is. My husband would love that. He loves like smoky stuff.
Yeah. Well,
You know.
you would love it.
And
That's-
I do.
that's
I
beyond
literally
smoky.
can. Yeah, it is. I can taste that like still going down,
Yeah.
and it is appropriately named. So it's Devil's Juice number 5. So there were 4 before it.
Wonder what
Okay.
happened.
I don't know. I don't know.
We don't want to know.
Exactly.
That's actually, I think that's over 120 proof as well,
Okay.
which is intense.
Yeah, okay.
So you might get acid reflux later.
Oh, well.
All right. Well, again, thank you for enjoying some bourbon with me. I like to start with childhood, Aubrey, because
Okay.
the people that are sitting in your seat have a story.
Yeah.
They are molded from their childhood, from past experiences, from influences, whether it's family or friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to kind of flash back to that time in their life and kind of help you recollect, because you might not have thought back to your childhood in a long time.
Yeah.
So first, where did you grow up?
I grew up in this town called Westview in the North Hills. I went to North Hills High School. And I graduated from Slippery Rock. And I lived in Florida for a little bit after college and in like the Fort Myers area. And then Pittsburgh has a way of like sucking you back in.
It is.
You
It's like a
know?
melting pot.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that live here stay, or they have family that
They do.
live their whole lives here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Pittsburgh has a lot of great things going on, for
They do.
sure. I mean, I've traveled a lot in contrast to other places, you know. I mean, it's not too bad.
It's not the stereotype that it has. I think people still, to this day, view Pittsburgh as old, dirty, grungy. I don't want to say like like poverty, but
Right.
it just has that stigma still, I think. And especially, I travel a lot for work as well. And when I tell people I'm from Pittsburgh, they're like, "I'm sorry."
Oh, really?
It's just like, hold on, let me
We have
explain.
like the prettiest skyline, don't you think?
We do.
It's like, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's something it's worth noting.
So what do you remember about growing up in Westview?
Okay, growing up in Westview, so I'm the oldest. I have two younger siblings. My brother is exactly 2 years younger than me. We share the same birthday, actually, but we're nothing alike. And my sister, she's 6 years younger than me. And this is what I remember. I think that really with my childhood, I've not really let it define me. I've learned that, you know, we all have our story, and my parents are amazing people, and they, I think, did the best to raise us. My story kind of starts, and I think this is why it might, you know, be important to note with, like, I really wasn't like, most of us weren't like the popular kid in school. I got made fun of a lot. And so I was very quiet and shy and reserved. And you don't really know this as you're going through it, but my mental health was impacted by that. So I fell in love with dance, and I would dance in my bedroom. My parents, I didn't really take a lot of dance classes, but I used my imagination. I was like this little ballerina that would just dance around her bedroom. And finally, you know, really growing up as a dancer, even though I fell in love with dance, I think this is where the story takes a little bit of a plot twist, where I was looking in the mirror constantly. And that's where I was always comparing myself to other people. You had to compare your lines to other people. And what dancers need to be is a specific image. So I developed an eating disorder really young. And I distinctively remember like actively choosing to have an eating disorder. And I didn't really know what I was dabbling with. It almost became like probably when a drug addict was just first trying a drug, right? You don't really know what you're messing with. And it really sent me down a very hard path for a long time. That, of course, you turn your trauma into triumph in the
Sure.
end.
So you said you chose to have an eating disorder. Is that because you put so much pressure on how you looked?
I think I did. I allowed external influences from, you know, people in high school, or more like middle school, junior high school, I should say, influenced me about the way that I looked. And, you know, people can pick up on your insecurities, and you don't know that as a kid. You just think like, wow, they're judging me, and this is how they see me. And, you know, I am grateful for the mean people in my life, because it's made me so nice. I have promised myself that I will absolutely never make a female feel the way that I've felt that these other people made me feel. And I'm not mad at these people at all. It's a matter of like, I distinctively remember how they made me feel, and I made a vow to myself that I would never do that to anyone.
Yeah.
So I think it's why I do what I do. I help empower women through transformation programs.
I love that. So you said you got made fun of a lot. Was that
Yeah, a
because of
decent
how you
amount.
looked, how you acted, a little bit of both?
You know, I look back at pictures of myself and I was like, who the hell were they making fun of? Like, you look at yourself as a kid and I was like, oh, she was so cute. Like, I just want to hug her. She was so, like
Yeah.
I wanted to hug that little girl in me. And I think that it was probably jealousy. And I didn't see that. I just really wanted people to like me. So
Isn't it sad that everyone's a target for bullies?
it is.
Like, you weren't unattractive, apparently, according to what you're saying. You had a decent personality, but you were still a target.
Mm-hmm.
I was a target because I looked like a nerd and I weighed as much as of a piece of paper, right?
Really?
So that makes you a target.
Yeah.
But you could be super popular and then be a target because people are jealous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, bullies don't discriminate, I guess.
And hurt people, but I think it's different probably now for kids growing up. I think that we're definitely more aware of it as human beings, to be more kind and sensitive and to be like, hey, this is how this person is experiencing life right now.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to help them get through whatever crunchy times or insecurities that they're going through.
So you got into dance. Did you view dance as sort of an escape from reality?
I definitely did. It pulls you into the present moment. I think anything that you really can get you out of your head and into your body, into the moment. I mean, that was amazing for me. And I was not a good dancer. I mean, in fact, I pretty much sucked. I didn't have the training. I think I had a little bit of natural talent because I had a lot of passion. And it really wasn't until college. And then now, I mean, I'm 44. Like, now I can finally say, like, yeah, I'm pretty good. And I'm like, I'm not that bad.
It's okay to admit that you're good at something.
It
right?
is. It takes a while to almost believe that, so you don't seem pretentious.
Sure. Humility is good too. Being humble
It
is
is.
a dying breed, I think.
Oh.
Some people are way too egotistical about things and
Yeah.
arrogant, and I'm the best.
That's an insecurity, though, too.
Sure.
There is a balance there.
So you go to Slippery Rock.
I already have acid reflux.
I got some
Oh, wow.
Prilosec
No,
downstairs
it's
if you
okay.
need it.
No, I'm going to ride it out, man.
By the end of the show, you're going to be like,
I know, exactly.
so what did you go to Slippery Rock for? What did you study?
So I wanted to be a dancer. I wanted to like move to New York, and I mean, I was not cutting it. So I remember auditioning at Slippery Rock for dance, and the dance professor was like, honey, you're awful and you need to choose a different profession. And I was so emotional. I was this emotional creature. And I remember looking at this board at Slippery Rock of all the majors, and I was like crying. And I'm like, Dad, my dad was with me. I was like, I don't know what to do with my life. And he doesn't either. He's just like, pick something and go for it. And it was like exercise science. I was like, I think I like to exercise. But I mean, I love to learn. So I probably could have picked anything, honestly, except like rocket science. And I think I would have done well. But I fell in love with movement, and like I still minored in dance. And I eventually I turned my whole dance career around. That like I was like the worst dancer going in and out. I won a bunch of awards for like the best dance minor there. So I was just like, it was awesome.
So what sort of things did you perform in with dance?
Oh my gosh. So modern dance. Have you ever seen modern dance? Oh my God.
I am the whitest white person when it comes to dance.
That's
I don't
okay.
dance. I know nothing
I know
about
you
dance.
Don't. I know that about you.
You know I don't dance?
I do know that. I had a hunch. Yeah, because I was trying to like figure you out real quick. And I was like, I feel like he doesn't dance.
I don't.
It's okay.
I slow dance all day.
Oh,
that dancing?
That is a form of dancing. Yeah.
But yeah, you will not see me on the wedding floor
Yeah.
cutting.
Not even after Devil's Number 5.
Haven't tried it.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a chance.
All right.
So you did many appearances and
I did. Modern dance it's kind of weird, but what modern dance actually brought to me, it was very cathartic at Slippery Rock, but it made me a really good athlete, because unlike other forms of dance like ballet, you're always dancing with a lower body. I became like I became very physically strong. I'm very good at like partnering with people. I like to lift people. I like to be like moving with people. I'm very good at contact
lift
improv.
people.
Yeah, I like that. Like,
Okay.
yeah, it's so cool. Like I like the acrobatics of it. So I'm pretty strong. I could like, if we had more space, I could definitely lift you and do some cool dance moves
Are
with
you
on my
serious?
back. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. I think it makes guys a little insecure though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It would make
they're
me
like,
insecure.
what? So
Look, I know you have to be strong to lift someone that's 100 pounds more than you, but
Yeah.
it's probably a lot of technique involved too.
it
right?
is. It
Yeah.
is. It's just biomechanics. So,
We'll go with that.
that's it. It makes me sound
She's not
smart.
strong. She's just
I'm just good at
biomechanically
biomechanics.
correct. That's pretty cool. Now I've seen some of your social media posts. I think they were shots from some competition you won. You were doing some crazy like splits in the air.
Oh,
and
yeah.
What was that from?
Okay, so that's back in my Fitness America days. Fitness America is like one of the oldest, I would say, like, I don't want to say bodybuilding organizations, but they were on ESPN. They really started to blend female bodybuilding with gymnastics and dance. And when that organization was really popular is kind of when I stepped into the organization and I fell in love with it. I met some of the coolest people, some friends that I still have to this day. I traveled to amazing, fun cities. I miss those days a lot, but I was able to kind of like feel like a superhero. It was like the most fun hobby that you could have as a young adult.
Did you get paid for any of these?
So the short answer is no, because at that time it was such a different time. Like I feel like they weren't really dabbling in this like a pro organization.
Are we talking like early 2000s? Like
yeah, when did I start competing? I would say circa 2007.
okay,
Yeah, is when I started.
okay.
So I was 27.
And you mentioned bodybuilding in that conversation.
Yeah.
Tell me about your bodybuilding journey. What got you into stepping on stage in heels?
I mean, the
imposing?
irony is like, I spent my whole life being compared. Like, okay, is this dancer better than this dancer? Or, so much. I've been in the game of comparison for a long time. And I think I wanted to master it because there was so much behind it that actually made me weak. It really made me mentally challenged with constantly not feeling good enough or measuring up to perhaps expectations that I was putting on myself. The rules that I've had for myself were attainable, but I didn't know how to get them. So, I think I look back at like bodybuilding and I didn't consider myself a bodybuilder. It was more like I was still a performer and this was the only platform for me to perform through Fitness America. And it wasn't until I would say more recently that I got into like seeing what my body was more physically capable of, not as from a performance aspect, from just an aesthetic aspect.
What do you enjoy most? Dancing
About
or
it?
bodybuilding?
I think most recently I enjoy, I'm sitting in the seat of like enjoying bodybuilding to be like, wow, I can like transform this earth suit because I didn't think I had the genetics or I didn't think I was capable. I just thought, hey, that's what you got. And how much I'm in charge of like moving the meat around and like making it go where I want it to go.
I've never heard that
You know?
term. Moving the meat around. Yeah, bodybuilding is a discipline like nothing else because you have no team or anyone else to rely on, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's true.
You're
I
in
mean,
the
you can
driver's
be on the
seat
team.
the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean,
me
yeah,
too.
you can. For instance, you can get a coach. They can
Mm-hmm.
instruct you on what to do. They're just giving you the tools, but you actually have to do it,
Yes,
right?
you do.
And on show day, you can think that you're at your very best, but you don't know who's going to be on stage next to you,
Exactly.
which
It
kind of
is.
sucks.
It really does. It is. It's a mind F for sure in a lot of different ways. But I mean, I have competed for so long throughout the years that it's like I have messed up plenty of times where you put so much stress on yourself and you realize how it's not worth it. And at the end of the day, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares except you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk into the office, the week after my show. And if I didn't place well, people they're not going to shame you. They're still like, they don't care.
Yeah. When's the last show you did?
The last show I did was 2003. It was the Yorton Championships with the OCB.
That was a long time ago. So you haven't been on stage since then
Yeah. Well,
for
yeah.
bodybuilding?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I know, but it went fast. I feel like it went fast. It was just a year.
How has your body changed since then?
I think that it has changed. I definitely feel like an improvement in muscle density. I think an improvement in symmetry. I have befriended someone who trains me. I call him my bodybuilding artist, but behind his back, I call him my warden, or because he makes me wear like the Whoop band. It's like my house arrest band. I hate that stuff.
To track everything.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
got to track everything. But I've just been back in it. I don't know how long I'll get back into this, but
What show are you doing?
I'm going to do the Yorton again because I qualified to do it again without competing in another pro show. So I figured, what the hell?
Yeah. I mean, Yorton is, I think, is it the biggest OCB show?
Yeah, it's their Mac Daddy that they have. So it just keeps getting bigger and bigger each year. And it is so cool to see what the human being can push itself to do. When I just have that level of awareness, when you just see like, how people can push themselves to run faster and like what you're actually capable of. It's pretty awesome to witness.
Yeah. And you don't know what you're capable of until you try it.
Yeah.
And you have to try it for a very long time.
You do.
Some competitors don't hit their peak for 10, 15, 20 years.
I feel like that was me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to just see how long I can actually peak. I don't know because I haven't tried it.
So I actually have a client doing the Yorton.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I won't be going down there.
Okay.
But she will be there.
Oh, great.
So
is she doing?
She's figure.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay,
you won't
great.
be competing against her.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'd root for. No, I know who I would root for.
Like with my Fitness America days, I competed against like all of my friends, all these women I became friends with. It's so weird when people tell me like when women are like insecure about that to me. Like I don't see it anymore where it's like, can we just all be friends?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're all doing the best that we can.
You mentioned comparison. You've said that word a few times.
It's the bane of my existence, I think.
Do you still do that?
I do.
To other
do.
people?
I think what I do, my favorite flavor of suffering is probably guilt and comparison. And I think that I work very hard to try to manage that. And it's not from the eyes of like, oh, I'm better than that person. I just literally see, I see all the good in that person. And I'm like, let's say it's bodybuilding. I'm like, shit, what the hell have I got? And I go down that road. And it's that a-hole voice inside your head that you think is you. And I'm just realizing, I'm like, that's not really me. So I have to override that old programming, right? And to say, okay, to actually not even look at, let's say, the competition. Because last year when I was training for the Yorton, I would just look at all the competition and it would like ignite all the adrenaline in you, right? You're like, oh my God, I got to work harder because look at this person and she's just off the chart. She's off the hinges, Yeah. And now I'm going to see if I can still train at that intensity level. Because I was like David Goggins with my training. I would listen to freaking David Goggins on my headphones and go bananas in the gym. People would actually come up to me and they were like, honey, you need to settle down. Like, are you angry? Like, you're going to eat through like a piece of machinery. Like, I was just crazy. And I don't want to do that again because I actually did shoot my adrenal glands to shit.
From all the stress you put on your body?
From the intensity level, because I was fueling myself with those adrenaline hits. And you can do that. You could, have you done that? Like when you were training, that you look at the competition and you're like, oh, that person's doing this. I got to do better.
So I don't think I did. Last time I competed was 5 years ago. And I wasn't like heavy into social media at that time.
Okay.
I think it's a lot worse now. I mean, even just over 5 years, it's gotten a lot worse. And I don't think as many competitors were kind of putting their business out there back then either.
Right. They
like
were
all the
secretive.
prep, the prep files and every meal they're eating, they're posting it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was out there, but I didn't see as much of it then as I do now.
Yeah. When I started competing, there was like no social media. It was beautiful. Loved it.
Social media, and we could we could talk hours on my opinion of social media, both good and bad, but we won't do that. Let's go back to comparison again. Do you use comparison constructively, or are you using it sort of destructively?
You know, when I'm applying it to myself, I think that has been my weapon of choice, to be honest, where it's like, okay, how and why do I want to do that? It's almost like when I got back into competing, I think it's almost like an addiction where, again, it's like, why am I doing this? Because you can go in both camps. And I think that it almost probably stirred up stuff from my past, from like my childhood, where I was, you know, being compared a lot or whatever. And I figured like I was just really trying to prove myself to myself through this. But I was almost saying like I have to prove myself to everybody else. So I think that's, you know, something that I work to manage.
When you look in the mirror today, are you happy with what you see?
I am.
You can truly say that?
Well, I mean, it depends on the day, Shaun. You know what I mean?
Depends on
the day.
what I ate an
Yeah,
hour ago.
no, I don't feel like that anymore. Like I'm not like with having an eating disorder for so long. I was anorexic, I was bulimic, I binged, ate. So I was at one point under 100 pounds and then at one point like pregnancy weight. And so I've experienced both ends of the spectrum where that was very mentally taxing and toxic. But I think now I'm much more in a state of gratitude. I mean, I think after 40, you definitely look through life in a different lens.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm a late bloomer too. I think I do see younger people like looking through life in a much more state of awareness. So maybe it just took me a while.
Better late than never, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think bodybuilding has made you too visual aware of yourself as far as picking yourself apart? Like if you had never got into bodybuilding, do you think you'd be a lot easier on yourself appearance wise?
That is, I don't know the answer to that because this is all I know.
Right.
You know, but in the same, there's going to be that give and take. There's pros and cons to a sport like this. So you will have, when the highs are high, you know, you will have these moments of appreciation and gratitude. And there will come a point where it's like, this ain't going to look the same, like, forever.
Right.
And that you cross that bridge when you get to it.
I don't think there's too many people that get into bodybuilding and realize they're going down a very slippery slope. Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, you do look your best for a couple weeks out of the year. Mm-hmm. And you're always chasing that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so. You know what? I think this is the first time in my life where like I'm actually feel like I look and feel better than I do when I'm dieted down. That's the first time I could ever say that. I'm actually like really embracing the fullness and being comfortable with the number on the scale.
And having energy.
Yeah.
And being in a good mood and sleeping good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Fitness envy.
Yeah.
Pole dancing.
Yeah.
That is completely foreign to me, as it should be, I guess, right? Do men pole dance?
They do. I mean, like you'll see a lot of like circus performers that work with the pole and that sort of thing.
Okay.
But of course, men are good at it. I mean, because their upper body strength.
What got you into pole dancing?
Well, okay, this is back in the mid 2000s. I heard on WDVE
102.5.
Yes, that it was like, hey, there's a pole dancing studio opening up in Pittsburgh, and I was like, oh my gosh, I could learn how to dance like that. Sign me up. So I go to the studio, Fitness with a Twist in Verona, and the first pole dancing studio in Pittsburgh, and I take like the 6-week course. And the instructor, after 6 weeks, she's like, hey, I'm moving. And so the owner was like, hey, you're pretty good. Why don't you start teaching classes? And I was like, am I good? No, I wasn't. Okay, because if you dig in the bowels of YouTube, you will find probably me falling off a pole or something ridiculous, not knowing what the hell I was doing. And I just sucked so bad. And then I eventually got good. So I always tell people, like, when I teach them now, I'm like, you are on the freaking fast track. I took the stairs and fell down them a couple times. You were on the elevator. So they're lucky. They're lucky that I can teach them so well.
So you did it for entertainment or for exercise
I
or
did it
both?
because I was curious. I was curious. I wanted like the sensual, sexual aspect of it.
Okay. What has that done to you from a physical and a kind of a mental perspective?
I feel like the dance genre itself is really where I belong. I think when I grew up as a dancer, I'm not a ballerina. Modern dance was a little too weird for me. In pole dance, I could really embrace like my own personal style. I could handle my own body weight. I'd love to be strong with that. I think pole dancing in general has helped me have a creative outlet, just like someone who would paint or play music or have whatever your hobby is. I mean, this is something that I could feel successful with and I could see progress with.
So now you are an instructor.
Yeah.
How many people come to your, is it a studio that you have?
Yeah, it's a studio. So my studio is in downtown Greensburg and I've been there for about 13 years. This is a place that I opened after the dissolution of another business that I had. And I thought, I'm going to have this studio for 3 years. That's it. Like, see what happens and then move on. And I don't quit stuff. That's why I don't try drugs. I don't quit stuff very easily.
But that's why.
Yes, right. The DARE program worked for me. I was like, nope, not going to do that because it's hard to quit stuff.
Yeah. Well, you said when you started dancing, you weren't that good.
No,
but you didn't quit.
I guess as anybody, I ought to see people. This is always funny to me. Do you get this? Like sometimes I'll get people and they think that they'll just automatically be good at something. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I automatically think no matter what it is, I'm going to be awful. And I am just going to lean in to the sheer misery and humiliation of like learning. And it's got to be like completely messy before it's going to be beautiful.
Is there anything that you tried that you just did give up on?
I think back in the day, probably. Let's go back in the day, like gym class, like dodgeball. Who invented that game? Stop throwing balls in my head. It was so mean. I hated that.
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
I wish that movie was out then and I could have probably mastered that game. No, but I think anything that I give up on, I think unfortunately, and I wish I could do it again, would be sports. That was something that like, I mean, I just got made fun of. Like being on a team, if I would let the team down, it was like, oh my God, you're terrible. And I didn't know how to get through that. So I retreated from team sports. And that's what I think also pulled me into dance.
You were around a lot of mean people.
And maybe I'm painting like this awful picture. I think it was just maybe what I noticed and what I felt energetically. And I remember, I mean, I could tell stories about it, but just girls just being themselves, like I could literally hear them talking about me behind my back. And I was like, I don't know. It doesn't make you feel good.
Okay. I have a question for you. I've probably looked into that camera 4 or 5 times now during these episodes.
Yeah.
And said, girls suck. And then I say, no offense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no offense. Why are girls so mean, in your opinion?
I think back then it was more or less, I think it's the human experiment. Let's have a container, right? And we're going to call it school. And we're going to put like just a bunch of like, I don't know if it's like rich kids versus poor kids versus middle class. And let's see what happens. So I think it's just a huge experiment. And the experiment always works out in that way. So how you have to kind of change something about that container in order to not have that type of behavior happen is my best guess. Does that make sense? So I think like, and also I think there's layers to it. I think that just like, I don't know. I know that I've definitely done like look back at like studies like on the food that they're feeding people in certain schools like can play a factor, or again how they're being taught or reprimanded. So I think there's a lot to it. I don't want to fully blame the younger female population. I think they're kind of plagued with that because of the environment as well.
And it's gotten worse because of social media, I think.
Well, I will see. My son is 7, so we'll see how that works out. I don't doubt what you say, but
Tell me he doesn't have a phone yet.
he doesn't. He has a really old phone that it's just like the camera feature.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what he likes to take pictures of himself and stuff. It's so cute.
Himself.
He does. It's adorable.
Okay. I've seen you on PTL. PTL is a local morning talk show on KDK. And I watch it every morning.
Do you really?
Heather, David, what's up? I should get one of them on here. That would be super cool.
I was honestly thinking that on the way over here.
Well,
I
you
would
have
love to
you
see.
have a connection,
I do.
so maybe
I know that we could get Daisy on here.
Daisy Jade.
Yes.
You know,
I
like
feel like, I don't know. Her and I have become a little closer since
Okay.
I
Well.
feel like, sorry, Daisy, I'm putting you out there. I feel like she'd be a good one to interview, actually.
I know nothing about her.
Oh, she's got a good life.
Okay.
Story, yeah.
But anyway, you're on PTL once a month, and you do a fitness segment.
Yes.
How did they reach out to you to do that, or did you reach out to them?
So I reached out to them after I won the Fitness America Championships in 2015. And my viewpoint on all of whatever your career is, like, you have to be your own agent. And I was just used to that. So I sent out press releases about that. And it's not like oh, I'm bragging about myself. I just thought, what can I do with this? I just won this international show. And then it was like the buzzkill, the post-show blues. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And I need to get someone's attention. So I did get featured in like some newspapers and on Channel 4. And then Channel 2 was like, that's great work that you just won that show, but we kind of don't care. What can you do by like coming on and maybe offering a fitness segment? Because we don't have that. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And I really practiced for this first segment because I was thinking just in a dancer mentality, this is like my audition.
Yeah.
And so it went really well. And this producer was like, why don't you come back again? And then after that, she was like, let's do monthly. And I was like, all right.
That is super cool. And
yeah.
the last one you did, I saw, was not long ago. You did something with towels.
Yeah, I'm bringing back the towel workout.
Yeah.
So I think now they really just like entertainment. It's hard to produce a lot of value, I think, in, a 2.5 minute segment.
Sure.
So at that point, it's like, okay, if this made someone smile, if this made them laugh, and then think about fitness in a different way, in a fun way, I'm going to take it as a win.
Do you put a lot of pressure on yourself to come up with new ideas for like the next one?
I've been doing it for 6 years. So yeah, I mean, I had a lot of different ideas and I do recycle them. Okay. It's been a long time.
Well, I haven't seen any other than like last week's or whenever it was. So you can recycle all you want. Now, I mentioned earlier that we sort of have a connection with not so much PTL, but KDK News. I was on Talk Pittsburgh.
Oh,
a couple months ago.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm going to overlay some video footage of some of your segments, and then hopefully I can find my segment. I was on for National Superhero Day.
Okay.
I play Captain America.
That's awesome.
And I've been doing it for about 10 years now.
How did you get into that?
A friend of mine knew my girlfriend at the time. This was a long time ago.
Okay.
She did the princess parties.
Okay.
So the Elsas and the Belles and the Snow Whites.
Yeah.
And then she wanted to sort of expand that business model to superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kennywood Kids Fest was coming up, and she asked if I would be her first superhero as Captain America. Now, this was back when I had hair and I was clean shaven.
Okay.
So I kind of looked like Chris Evans.
Oh,
like,
nice.
Close.
Yeah.
So, and I've told this story on a previous episode, but it is funny. My costume was homemade. Like the day before Kennywood Kids Fest. No.
Okay.
The girl I worked for made it.
Oh,
and
okay.
I'll tag the episode. It was Victoria Klaus's episode. And I felt like an idiot. Star was glued on with hot glue. You could still smell the glue. And I had like an army combat belt.
Okay.
And I wore like brown work shoes and navy cargo pants and a plastic shield. But I owned it.
It's better than a garbage can lid.
Yeah, agreed. But I owned it and I fell in love with it.
Okay.
And the kids loved me and the adults loved me just as much,
awesome.
if not more. And I did it for a very long time. I'm actually going to be a stage AE
Okay.
this Sunday
What?
for an event.
Okay, what's
which
the event?
This is going to
This
air after
Okay.
the day after that event.
Okay.
And it's going to be 94 degrees Sunday, so it's
gonna be
cool.
awesome. You're gonna smell great.
But
That's the thing about those costumes.
they don't breathe.
It could be worse. You could be wearing like, the whole head
I am.
piece. Oh, wait a minute. What?
Yeah.
What are you? You're not
Well, because
Captain
I don't
America?
have, I am, but I don't have hair anymore. So I don't look like Chris Evans anymore.
have to wear a
So I
wig.
have to wear a mask. I wear
you're wearing a mask.
that helmet thing that he
Oh,
wears,
got you.
which
Well,
is
just-
latex and does not breathe.
You could wear a wig and just shave your beard.
I will
Wigs
not
are awesome.
shave this beard.
No. Okay. You're into beards.
If you're bald, you have to have something
You
on your
have-
face.
Where's your balding? You can grow your hair. I'm looking at it right now. No?
Should we talk about my hair?
Yeah.
Hold on. First of all, I'm going to get back to the beard. If
Okay.
you're a bald man, it takes a lot for you to look good clean shaven. I think if you're bald,
Oh, because it's just too much.
It's-
You're like Lex Luthor.
yeah, I
yeah.
think it's a little too much hairlessness.
Yes,
Look like a
right.
hairless cat.
Yeah.
Or a dick.
Yeah.
I said it. So anyway, I'm
That's
not-
always what I think. Look at that dick walking
naturally.
around.
Yeah. So I won't shave the beard. But
Okay.
this hair, some of it's not real.
Oh.
Some of it's tattoo.
Get out.
So this hairline is tattooed on.
Okay.
And,
so
and he
see,
blended it with
you
my
did a
actual
great
hair.
job.
Yeah. Drew Scott changed my life, buddy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I used to be completely bicked.
Okay.
And then SMP is the procedure, scalp micropigmentation. It's essentially ink hair follicles.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah. So yeah, I had that done a little while back, but it looks like I just buzzed my head.
Exactly.
I had a full head of hair and I just buzzed it.
Yeah. 100%.
You had no idea.
Good call. Was
Yeah.
it expensive? What did you pay for it, may I ask?
I paid $2,500.
Okay.
Prices vary depending on how bald you are.
Yeah.
If you're completely bald on top, it's more because it just takes longer and
Yeah.
more sessions.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was 3 sessions total.
Was it really painful?
It wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
Think about, your scalp is very sensitive.
Yeah.
Very thin skin. I think all skin's the same thickness. Maybe.
I don't know, like your Carla.
Yeah.
Well, Google that.
It wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's after 4 hours, it's just like gets irritating. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's
It's just
a long
like,
time.
can we just stop?
Yeah.
You know,
And that's a lot on the artist too, because it's almost like a mundane but very meticulous.
he's the
Procedure.
man. And I'm going to tag his episode
You should.
too.
I think that's really good for guys.
Oh,
like,
it's insane.
'cause that's-
He's
that's a
changing
big deal.
lives.
That is, because it's so much. I mean, it's different. I'm not going to say it's better or worse than hair transplant or.
It's so invasive and expensive to get a hair transplant.
Yeah.
And it takes months and months and months for it to start to grow. This was
doesn't seem like
instant
that way.
results,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm impressed. I did not know. You fooled me.
That was a unbiased opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I like it.
anyways. So, yeah, I was on Talk Pittsburgh as Captain America with some other superheroes.
Okay.
And we did like a little tug of war match. Heather did not participate. She just watched and laughed.
Okay.
But it was still fun.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool.
And then, yeah,
That's a good show. I mean,
I love it.
I think it's both Pittsburgh Today Live and Talk Pittsburgh. It's great to feature people of the city
Yeah.
as well as it's positive news, and we can have positive news. It doesn't always have to be negative shock factor news.
I know. I think KDK does a good job of keeping things upbeat.
Yeah, I think they do too.
So, you're married.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talked, I don't know, probably about a month and a half ago, when we first kind of scheduled this,
Mm-hmm.
you gave me a few little nuggets of interesting information
Yeah.
about your life.
Mm-hmm.
One of them revolved around your husband.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say. So you can tell the story because I
Okay.
haven't heard it.
Okay, excellent. So, is my eye leaking? I feel like I have an allergy.
You're a little leaky
Okay, it's super leaky.
in just
so-
the corner.
All right. Is my makeup running?
No, you're good.
Okay, as long as my makeup's right. We're just going to have leaky eye syndrome going. It's like allergies or something. I just have one leaky eye.
the devil.
Or maybe it's the freaking devil,
The
number
devil's coming
5.
out.
Jeez.
I like how you always had that number 5. That's so
Not to be
significant.
confused with any other one.
I love it.
All right, so I met my husband. His name is Dan. I met him in 2008. And we had been dating for about 3 months. And, I had been in love before. Like my first love, I was in my early 20s. And I knew how precious and rare it was to like truly fall in love with someone. So, we met and it was like really intense and you're feeling the feelings, all those things. And I'm like, all right, I know this is like, there's something there, something really special, right? And he used to work he's a mechanical engineer. So at this time in his life, he was inspecting nuclear power plants and he would travel a ton. And he was traveling and working at this plant in Joliet, Illinois. Yes. So he was on a late night shift. And as the story goes, it was a dark and stormy night. Okay. And he was driving after his shift. And it was like dark and kind of rainy. And he was about to cross train tracks. Now, these were unmarked tracks, but there was like a police officer like waving people on. And, Dan's in his late 20s at this point. I know he had like probably some grunge music blaring in his 2003. Oh, no, this wasn't the Honda Civic. This was a Hyundai Sonata.
Oh.
Okay. All right. A rental car. So the officer waves him on. And all Dan remembers is looking to his right. And he got hit by an Amtrak train. It blew his car off the tracks. I mean, smashed it to frickin' pieces. And I think I sent you the link of what the car looked like. My son most recently, since we're talking about this, he most recently looked at that video and his jaw dropped. He goes, wait, Daddy, you were in that car? Like, I mean, to see my son's reaction now, because my reaction first at the time, I obviously didn't see it. I didn't see this video footage because someone had recorded the aftermath of it. And this was kind of like early on with YouTube, right? So long story short, it smashes the car to pieces and he walks out of the car and everyone's on him at this point. And he just walks out, says something, and he completely collapses. So he ended up breaking this, like all the spinal processes off of his lumbar spine. Miracle that he's alive. Right. And I get this phone call that he's been in this accident. So I was kind of in this state of shock and I was like, we didn't know the outcome yet. If was he going to walk again? We knew he was alive. Am I now in love with someone who is going to be a paraplegic? And how do I feel about that? There was a lot of questions going through my head on how my life was going to look with this love interest. And I always say, like, to Steven, you got a horseshoe up your ass. He is so lucky. He is a lucky son of a bitch in so many ways. But with this in particular, he was pretty much unscathed. Now, it took him a little while to recover. He had to wear like a back brace for a long time. But since I was, I'm in the field that I am, I'm determined to help you heal. And he did. Like, to this day, he literally forgets that even happened. But the Hyundai Sonata, man, like, saved his life. And I look back at that video and I almost like laugh at it. Like, we even made a song about it after it happened, just because it was unbelievable that he survived this. And if I may add, the story that continues is that the police officer cited him and gave him a ticket that flagged him across. And there was a woman on the Amtrak train that sued him. So he had to get a lawyer because she said that she had whiplash. And I was like, oh my God, if he would have died, who you going to sue? Who you going to give that ticket to? But it all resolved. That officer ended up getting fired because it was, from Dan's perspective, it was like the flashing lights of the cop car and again, his music was playing, it was raining, and that train just came across so quickly. So, and that woman, obviously, she did not win her lawsuit.
Nice try.
Sorry. Go get a neck massage. You'll be okay.
She tried to sue your husband.
Yeah, she did.
Because his Hyundai Sonata.
Yeah. Gave her a little
bumped her train.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
That is a miracle story.
You would be surprised on how many people apparently, cars get hit by trains. I didn't know this because everyone, when he came back to work, I was like, Dan, you got to have like a town hall meeting because everyone is going to like ask you, how the hell did you get hit by a train? And, you know, because he kept telling the same story and I'd be with him and I was like, hold up, let's just send the PowerPoint presentation. Like, just stop talking, you know? And that was the thing. It was like reliving it too for him was a part of like, you know, it didn't traumatize him though. Like he is just the type of person that he can put the past in the past and move on so well.
Well, now if anyone wants to hear the recount of the train story, they can just watch this now.
Yeah, exactly.
Screw
That's what I was
PowerPoint.
thinking. That's what I was thinking.
Just watch this.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the Cliff Note version of that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Does he have any after effects?
No, he really doesn't. And it's actually a good story for me to tell my clients who will have injuries. And, you know, I'm not trying to be like this. I'll be like, yeah, but did you get hit by a train? Okay.
You pull the get hit by a train card.
Exactly.
I would too if I had that card.
Yeah, I know. But he literally, like months after like he got the back brace off, I remember, I think somebody was asking him, I think it was a chiropractor, hey, do you have any like injuries that I need to know about? And Dan's like, nope, not that I can think of. I look at him, I'm like, Steven, you just got hit by a train 6 months ago. What are you talking about? Like once he's done with something, he is just like, oh no, I'm perfectly fine. He doesn't identify with like injured victim, anything like that. So it's impressive.
He doesn't like ever pull the sympathy card with you?
Never.
That's a good man.
Yeah.
I can't say that I wouldn't throw that out every once in a while if I was asked to build something. I'd be like, oh, but that train injury.
Exactly.
I don't know.
That old Vietnam wound in my ass. Exactly.
Well, that was a doozy.
Yeah.
Okay. The other nugget that you dropped, you lost a business.
Yeah, I did. So, all right. I went to Slippery Rock. I majored in exercise science. I minored in dance and gerontology. And I thought I could work in like corporate wellness centers. So basically it's like a fitness center inside of a company, right? And when you're like 22, you kind of think that's kind of cool. And then you realize, okay, really? So this is what I went to school for. And what I very quickly learned, I did part ways from the corporate wellness industry for a little while, and I became like a sales manager. And I loved the job that I did. I traveled and everything. It was great. And then I basically got wind that these like corporate wellness contracts were up for bid, specifically with Westinghouse Electric Company, and it was for a decent amount of money. A gal that I went to college with, she was like, Aubrey, let's just bid on these contracts. Like, I'm like, I've never owned a business before. So I just like Googled it. Like, how do you start a business? Oh, okay. So I literally did that. And, you know, I'm like, I just need a good suit. And I'm just going to go in there. And
with my briefcase.
I did. And I got like little heels. And I went in there and we got the freaking contract. This is like $1 million contract. I was 28. I was like, word. Yeah. So I was
shopping
super stoked.
for Lambos online.
Yeah, right. I wish. Yeah. No, I got like a Hyundai Tiburon instead, which I love that car, by the way. Anyway, so her and we managed these corporate wellness centers. We still were working in the business. We had a couple of employees. And we did this. We grew the business outside of Westinghouse with some other corporations. But Westinghouse was like our bread and butter. So essentially, since we were young and naive, you know, it wasn't probably the best setup because they kind of had us by the balls, right? So if that contract was up, it was kind of like bye-bye business, right? And, you know, I also, in my 20s, I didn't really believe in like the glass ceiling. I was so programmed like, I'm a feminist. I'm always for women's rights and everything. And guys can't talk to me like that, you know? And, oh no, they can and they will. And they will push you, bitch. And they did. And I just didn't play along with kind of like the old boys club. And because of that, I'm convinced, and they did me a favor, no doubt, that after 3 years, our contract was up, that it was, long story short, was like, hey, well, my company was named Wellness Solutions at Work. They were like, Wellness Solutions at Work, you can go take a hike, but just you and your business partner. We're going to keep all your employees. and we're going to have someone else be the new Aubrey Worek, and Kelly Brown is her name. So I was like, oh, wow, those were a kick in the pants. And that really burned me. Like, I remember, like, I mean, I was like such an emotional creature. I remember like crying and being so dramatic. And I mean, I am so dramatic to the point where the man who like held the contract, I was like, oh, I'm coming to get you. And I did.
Like Liam
I
Neeson.
went up. I was crazy.
I know your name. I know where you live.
Because I was like, I ain't scared. So yeah, so he just played dirty, and I was like, I bet he doesn't think I'm gonna call him out and all his henchmen. So I went up, like it was like after like everything was dismantled, my employees were up in arms. They were like against me because they're no longer my employees. It was like all this drama. So, got my suit on, I got my heels, and I go up to this man's desk, and I just give him like a piece of my mind. And then I looked at his assistant, and I gave her a piece of my mind. And then I looked at the other assistant, and it was very, like, I feel like it was somewhat appropriate. I didn't swear, but I made them very uncomfortable. And like, who does that? Who was that person? I am so dramatic.
That's like out of a movie.
Oh, it was. I'm not
you were
proud
the
of
wolf
that.
of Wall Street.
I am not proud of that moment.
Yeah.
And so I was like, screw you, I'm going to go open a pole dancing studio.
Got him.
Yeah, got him. I'll show you.
That is hilarious. So Westinghouse, we have another connection.
Oh.
So the company that I worked for first in my professional career in 2001 was Emerson.
Oh, okay.
And shortly before it was Emerson, it was Westinghouse Process Control.
Okay.
So it was Westinghouse, right?
Yeah.
Westinghouse has been around
my gosh.
forever.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is very cutthroat, blue collar. It's been run a certain way for thousands of years, not literally, but
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, you did kind of step into the lion's den there.
I did.
But you gave him a piece of your mind, and you started a pole dancing business, bitch.
You know, right?
Who's the winner now? Right?
Meanwhile, it's like, but honestly, they did me a favor. In hindsight,
Yeah.
It's just a part of my story, and I look back at the person that I was, and I want to talk to her to be like, can you just breathe? Can you just breathe, girlfriend? And just, I needed like an injection of Buddhism in my life. I really needed that, and I think I was very much, program myself to be like, I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to, just lean into this when, I don't think I'm embarrassed about it, but I think like this version of me probably would have toned it down a little bit.
We hope.
I hope so.
Do you think you overreacted because you lost?
Yeah, I feel like at that time in my life, I really felt like karma existed, and my definition of karma was the balancing of the scales. So I felt like because these key players, the men in charge, played dirty, right? That I thought, well, they're going to get what's coming to them. And it was like, Aubrey, they're sleeping great at night. Like they play by their own
last
rules.
thing that they're worried about.
Oh my gosh, totally.
Yeah.
So I was really naive to that. So
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
What do you think you got from that?
okay.
That's like life lesson. How have
my
you handled
life
things
lesson.
differently? Because everything happens for a reason.
I kept kind of messing up after that. Okay, because I had a great business partner, and after that, like she didn't want to do the business anymore. I was heartbroken. It was like a divorce. And honestly, her and I worked so well together. I was so crushed, and I took it very personally. Like, what am I going to do? I can't do this without her. Like, we're like peanut butter and jelly. We work so well together. And she ended up moving away to South Carolina. So then I ended up having another type of a business partnership with a friend. And I thought, well, all business partnerships are good, right? Like, because I'm a team player, I can work really well with people. No, it wasn't. And it ended in a dumpster fire. So I learned about partnerships. I also, after I think that second debacle with being a business owner, I learned very quickly on, I think, how to read people. And I would sometimes override my instinct. Like, I would always try to see the good in that person. Like, oh no, they could definitely be a good fit. I'm going to make this work. And it's okay now. I can say, like, it's okay if we don't work well together. So we thank you, but no thanks. So I think that was my biggest lesson learned, is to go back to my gut instincts.
Okay, that actually kind of sparked something personally for me, as far as like, this just won't work. Let's just let bygones be bygones and go our separate ways. So with your coaching business, your fitness coaching, have you ever had to just let somebody go because things weren't working out?
So I guess, yes, it naturally happens. It is hard because, and I think of it like, I love this term. I don't know if you like this term, but it's like uncoupling. And I like it like also for like breakups or things like when I see clients going through divorce, because divorce is it's like an ugly, harsh word. It's just kind of like, it is, no offense, our energy anymore. We bring out the worst in each other instead of the best. I think I've had very few clients like surprise me that they, perhaps are not wanting to continue or had a different experience than what I perceived. Very few. And I could only honestly think of just one client off the top of my head that I had for a short period of time that I was like, oh my gosh, you got to go. And I love this line. It's like, you can go sell crazy somewhere else. Like, go. So just one. That's not bad.
Just one for me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Male or female?
Female.
Yeah.
Crazy girls. It's always the girls. But, and I've worked with probably almost 250-ish people over the years.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it's only been one. But it was just one of the situations where they started my program for a week or two, and then they dropped off the face of the earth. And then they came back 2 months later. I'm ready this time. I'm seriously ready. And it repeated 5 times.
Okay.
And I was just like, look, I feel like a thief taking your money every time you start again.
Yeah.
You're obviously just not in the right place in your life to do anything like this. I just can't work with you anymore now or in the future. And that was it.
So you did the breakup.
I did.
Okay,
I uncoupled.
You uncoupled.
Yeah. It was just the right thing to do.
Yeah. And that sounds actually a really good way to end things. It wasn't like that person was crazy.
I gave it 5 chances.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And I used to have the mentality, when you first get started in coaching, you want to help the world.
Yeah.
And you're convinced you can help everybody, right?
Yeah.
And then when someone leaves because they either met their goal or it's just not something that they can commit to. It's just like, no, I can help you still.
I know.
Don't leave.
Because you see their fullest potential. That's the thing. It's almost like I tell people this. I'm like, I have a crystal ball for you, and I can see like where we are going. You can't see it yet, but I'm going to breathe that belief in you and start to pull you along. And you could coach anyone in that. Like I have a business coach, and that's what he does for me, and I know that that's what I do for people, and that's what you do.
Yeah.
And it's hard when they're, it's like that Jerry Maguire moment, like, help me help you. And they can't do it.
And look, we've started journeys, you've started multiple journeys, both fitness wise and business wise. And it is hard to see that end picture when you start. And it seems like it's unattainable sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So I do get, but it's just like, if you would just give this a chance, just give me 3 months, 4 months, but you can only do so much.
You can. And I think it goes back to like the level of awareness that human being has, where it is honestly the voice in their head it is the doubt that it just crushes them. And again, they don't even realize that is on replay in their head. So, because that's where you would step in to override that, right? And people can start to listen. I mean, my first coach who got me to train for Fitness America and saw me till I won it, he was like the first person that really believed in me. He was so impactful in my life. He's an amazing human being. And I have so much of my success early on in my career to thank because of him. And I want to tell people, like, if you find someone who believes in you, don't let that person go. Don't. Like, that is a special thing.
Yeah. Do you find it difficult to manage the emotional side of fitness coaching? Because look,
Yeah.
there are different types of coaches. There are coaches that will just tell you to do something and you better fucking do it.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no middle ground whatsoever. There's no
Right.
understanding. There's no trying to get you to try harder. It's just like, oh, well, it's not my problem.
Yeah.
And then there's the coach, like I'm kind of one of them, that is just like, you try to like dial in a little bit deeper and try and find the root cause of why they're not doing things the right way, right? Do you do that too?
I do, because there's many layers to the person. And I do think both styles of coaching can be effective depending on where that human being is on their journey. You know, and it could be just like that right recipe. Because why does one coach work better for another, right? Or you could look back on like your old professors. Like, why did some professors get you to like really engage in a topic where others didn't? It's just right. It's another relationship. So, I mean, I really think that it's so dependent on that. And I am definitely the coach that is more like, all right, what is the root cause? But I can definitely flip the David Goggins switch when necessary, as we know, because there's a part of me that's crazy.
The old walk into the
Word.
office.
You see me in my suit, exactly.
Yeah, turn the other way.
Exactly.
Because, I had Brittany Riley on a couple weeks
Yes,
ago.
yes, that was a
and
great episode.
you're her coach.
Yeah.
And she had very good things to say about you beyond just the coaching aspect. She said that you're always there for her as a motivator, and you listen to her, and you know how she ticks. You know that you've learned her personality and kind of what she needs, and you're able to help her that way. And I think that's a sign of a really good coach, because you listen, you're aware, you observe, right?
And we do make a good team. I think that, it does take a little while to figure somebody out, because you can get to know them kind of like on the superficial level. But I've definitely had a client, I would say I'm thinking of one client that's kind of like a flip-flopper. So I recognize people's patterns. I look right away and I'm trying to see like, where is their pattern? And this is something that was taught to me by an amazing therapist. She's like, Aubrey, look at the pattern. So now I look to see where is that pattern. So you'd stop taking things personally, because and I think that's where, when you were saying like, can be very emotional with your clients, and you probably have a better like energetic barrier up than, because you're masculine energy. I'm not trying to like gender bias you, but like usually men have a better energetic barrier of like putting it up and not taking things personally with like a coaching relationship. Do you feel that's true? No.
I think I'm like a big softie.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I've heard you say that before.
Yeah.
But just in that area.
No, with life in general. I'm a people pleaser. So I think it's hard for me to give tough love because of that. Like, I never want to upset someone.
I know.
Period.
Yeah.
Whatever aspect of life it is in, right? So I actually just had to give some tough love to a client a little while ago. And it was like, I'm like, delete. No, I have to do this. Yeah, it's a little harsh. No, I have to say it. Like,
Gotcha.
It shouldn't be that hard.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
it is. Whatever.
It is. Because then you can't take it back.
But some people need to hear it. And yeah, like
They
you
do.
said, sometimes you just have to be that authoritative figure.
Yeah.
They hired you for a reason. They
They
didn't
did.
hire you to be their dad, their mom, their right. They're hiring you to guide them towards a certain goal.
Well, and they're also seeing how far that they could push you. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah.
They're seeing, like, I've noticed with my clients when I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. This is what you're going to do now. And then they'll be like, oh, thank you. It's really probably what I needed. Like, they're pushing you. They're seeing, like, it's just like a kid. Well, how much can I get away with before they're going to, like, drop the hammer down,
Yeah. There have been times where I'm like, so let me get this straight. You want to lose X amount of pounds in X amount of months, but you don't want to stop eating this.
Yeah.
And you don't want to stop drinking this.
Yeah.
And you can't exercise more than 2 days a week. What do you want me to do for you?
They want you to be a genie and to grant them a wish. It's like the impossible dream. But were you ever like that? Like, who's coached you? Like, have you ever had a coach before?
Yeah.
So were you on the other end, like seeing what you can get away with? Were you ever like that?
My coach and I were two totally different people. Opposite ends of the spectrum in every aspect. Personality wise, just we didn't click.
Oh, you didn't?
He was not the coach that I needed. It was my first show. I've only done one. My first show. Look, I knew I was educated. I kind of knew what needed done, but I never had a coach. I didn't know how the whole coaching thing worked.
Yeah.
Like, what are they really there to help you do? Like, right. So I had a lot of questions. Can I chew sugar-free gum? If I was asked to eat a Pop-Tart, or I was told I could eat a Pop-Tart, and I said, is this to help with blah, blah, blah? And he was just like, I don't know if I should take this seriously or not. Like, he made me feel dumb a lot.
Oh, okay. Like, kind of, how dare you ask me because it's bro science a little bit?
Yeah, I'm just like, dude, like, this is why I'm paying you.
Yes, because sometimes people do feel attacked if questions are asked. Like, they feel like
they
you're
don't know what they're
questioning
doing.
your not only authority but your knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, so that could have been it. And again, based on insecurity.
So, what are your income streams right now? You have Fitness Envi.
Yeah.
You have your coaching business. What else is there? Is that it?
I mean, I have like little passive things like through supplement companies and stuff like that. But mainly it is my online coaching business. So my online coaching business, it's called Empowered Fitness Coaching. And right now, I do my transformation programs right now in 4-month increments. So that's what people sign up for, that it's like, we are going to lock arms for 4 months, see where we can take you in those 4 months. Now, there's definitely a group of people that continue on and they continue the 4-month cycle. I'd like to get it to like more of like an annual contract. So that's kind of where I am with that business. And that's really the business that I'm focused on growing the most. I love Fitness Envi. It is such it's so near and dear to my heart. It's like my 13-year-old child. And it's not like a huge revenue stream because it's a brick and mortar location, but it also kind of funds the online component. So online is really where my focus is.
So you rent a building?
I do. I rent this building. It's a beautiful space. It's right across from the courthouse in downtown Greensburg. Nice high ceilings. So it's a good location.
What have both of those careers with Fitness Envi and your coaching, what has that done to you as a person? Like, what have you kind of taken away from it? How have you grown? What have you realized about yourself that maybe you didn't know, positive or negative?
I think most recently, I have a greater sense of appreciation for what I've created, because before 2020, I was about to close Fitness Envi. I was like, no way. This is not a smart business decision. Wake up. Hello, McFly. It's done. And once 2020 happened, I started to realize the value of what I was doing. And because I became very negative for a little while before then, because I was like just in this funky state of existence I was poo-pooing on my career a lot. Like, why did I choose this career? Fitness. This is like, I was kind of regretting my path because I felt that it was viewed as, I mean, you could say non-essential, or it's just like, oh, it's what you do. You help people look good, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I kind of started to pick up on again. It was kind of odd that I started to just allow that to be like, oh, whatever. What I do is not important. It's kind of pathetic. So.
But that's, I mean, the pandemic, I think that made people realize how important physical and mental health was, right? A lot of people turned to exercise to get through it.
They did.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, if we had Devil's number 5, I mean, we'd be all good.
Pandemic, schmandemic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
COVID-19, take that.
This is the vaccine.
Exactly.
Maybe
You finished that. You go.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Woo!
One of number 4 was the vaccine.
I knew it was in the water system. I knew it. The water, it was tasting a little weird. I think it looked like this color, actually. out of the pipes. That's why you don't drink tap water.
So what's the end goal, Aubrey? Like,
Yeah.
I know you're always trying to improve in all aspects of life, right? Like, you said there's no glass ceiling. You alluded to that earlier.
Yeah.
What's your aha moment? What's your, like, I've done it, I've succeeded.
Yeah.
Like, I can hang up the pole.
I know.
If that was a thing.
I'm going to hang up my crystal heels.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if there is one, because I remember, like, with Fitness America, I was like, all right, after Fitness America, I got my goal. And then obviously it opened some other doors for me. I think specifically with my online coaching business now is where I really see it is, since I am being coached through it, that I want to fully embrace the opportunity that I can impact more people, and what will come of that are some, you know, cutting edge different types of programs. Right now I'm launching a completely free program just so that people can get to know me. It's like a 10-day program. And honestly, I'm so freaking proud of it. And to look at what I've created, because all the knowledge that you acquire over the years, right? You're like, you have all this stuff that you've pulled from other resources, from other amazing people. You take a little bit of their stuff and it's like all inside you. And then you produce what you feel is like all the good stuff. That's kind of what I'm doing. And I think it's a really cool process just to keep going. So I think like my end game, when I feel like I've kind of made it, you just set those milestones for yourself, where it's like right now you see like the financial goals,
Sure.
you know, and truly the results of what these women are getting. Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see, like, they didn't think that they could get there and they freaking got there.
Do you put a lot of pressure on yourself to remain different or to remain unique from other coaches?
People ask me that. You know what? That's always a question. Like, what makes you, this is something my business coach has asked me before. What makes you different or better than your competition? And I'm like, I don't know. Honestly, because you're just focused on your thing. It's like, I'm just doing it through my lens. So that alone is its level of uniqueness. And I think that we all have that. So I think I don't really have like a scarcity mentality in that, like, oh my gosh, I have to be, you know, show up this certain way. I'm like, I'm going to show up how I feel the most authentic, and the right people will come.
Because the reason I ask is we've talked about comparison a lot.
I know.
Today. And I didn't know if you still did that to this day, especially with your businesses.
So I guess I kind of, I think when I do that, I'm not actually even comparing my fitness coaching business to others. I think I'm more or less comparing my career choice, where I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously, just go back to like get a corporate job. You know, I tell myself that. I'm like, just get your profile back up on LinkedIn, girl, and just go do that. And
Put your suit back on.
Put that suit back on, you know. And when I did, so in the interim before starting Wellness Solutions at Work and my pole dancing business, I did have a corporate job, and I was like obsessed still with being the best. I was like ranked like #1 in the nation. I had to do it. I was like, whoa. So I was just working so much. So I'm like, would I do that again? And I probably would. I would go bananas to try. It's not to beat anybody else. It's more or less like I'm thinking, oh my God, is the boss thinking I'm slacking? So I constantly am trying to like do all that I can do. And it's ridiculous.
You said yourself that you set very high expectations of yourself. Do you think that is sort of the catalyst for a lot of your drive and your goals? Like, do you expect to be the best?
And I don't know if I expect to be the best. I think that I view it from the point of like, I'm trying to do everything that I can so that no one can see that they can't point out anything. Does that make sense?
Any obvious flaws or obvious signs of like you didn't try hard enough, or you know.
And I mean, I have fallen on my face plenty of times. Don't get me wrong. It's like I don't want to paint this picture that like everything I do is a 10, because probably the majority of what I've done, I mean, I've learned the hard way.
Well, you have to fail to succeed.
Yeah.
You need those life lessons.
Yeah.
And not repeat them again. Right?
Try not to.
Well, so what are some of those failures that you've dealt with? Because we've talked a lot of good things,
Yeah.
except for your husband getting hit by the train.
Right.
So what are some of those things that just didn't work out the way you wanted?
Oh gosh, I guess it depends on what aspect of life. Believe it or not, I felt like a failure with my pregnancy. I didn't think it would impact me that way. I was really determined to have a natural, drug-free vaginal birth, and I ended up having a nearly 10-pound baby and an emergency C-section. And in hindsight, I mean, I mean, you do everything that you can. I think that was the thing. Like, so I felt like a failure at that point. I never thought that I would, but, you kind of get through that. It's so weird because anyone from the outside looking in, you're like, how would that, you still have a healthy baby, but if I were to have another child, I would look at it that much differently. I wouldn't think from a failure standpoint. Definitely lots of failures in my dance career, for sure. Definitely lots of failures in my competition career too, where my son came to one of my bikini shows. This was after I was having a season of life that was intense. We had come back from the jungles of Belize, and I probably shouldn't have entered a bikini show. And my son witnessed this, and he's like, "Mommy, why didn't you win your bikini show?" I was like, "'Cause Mommy didn't diet hard enough."
Mommy had too many margaritas.
Yeah, exactly, right? Well, it wasn't one of those vacations. We
Oh.
did like the whole ayahuasca thing, so it was one of those. And still, your body had to look good after ayahuasca, let me tell you. Yeah. You just had an exorcism. So I do this bikini show, but I told him, I said, you know what the good thing is that I showed up for that winner so she could beat more people. Honestly, like it was her day. I was like, that girl, she earned it. And I was like, you are welcome for me showing up so that you could say that you beat more people. So it was a win.
Wow. So Aubrey, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I do.
I've been asking you so many questions. Oh,
I do, because I try to catch your episodes, and I know that you always ask this at the end. So, Shaun.
but we're not done yet.
Oh, we're not?
But go ahead. No,
Okay.
Go ahead.
In your opinion, what is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life to me is how people view you after your death.
Oh, your legacy.
Yeah. Because people aren't going to remember me for my body or my car
Yeah.
or material things.
Right.
I hope not. I want people to remember me for who I helped, who I impacted, who I inspired, who I helped, talk about difficult discussions and topics.
Yeah.
Open up that side of them that they've been holding on to for so long, but couldn't figure out a way to get it out, or didn't have the source or the means to get it out. So yeah,
I like
meaning
that.
of life is beyond my life.
Ooh.
It's it's when I'm no longer here anymore. What do I mean to people after that?
That's really powerful. I didn't think that you would take it that direction. I like that.
What direction did you think I was going to take it?
I don't know. I thought that maybe, I guess, I don't know. I just didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. A lot of people would probably say success or, financial goals.
Or I think they would say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I wonder. You could poll your audience.
What's your meaning of life, everybody? What's yours?
So I think like where I sit now, I see it from this perspective of like, the meaning of life in Earth's goal is for us to experience what it is like to be human, what it is like to have emotions, what it is like to experience all these heightened sensations. I think it is based on experience. And I do think that it is a matter of, specifically on this planet, where we dance this delicate dance between light and dark.
Yeah.
And that's what we kind of signed up for, I think, more on a soul level. And I can feel that. I can resonate with that. Whereas before, maybe if you were to ask me, I would have more of like, way back in the day with how I was raised with a religion, I would probably have a response based on that. And now I have those types of things removed and see it differently.
So you don't follow a specific religion?
I don't. I was raised Roman Catholic, which was very guilt driven. And so I think that has sculpted me in a lot of ways that I've worked very hard, obviously, to manage that successfully and unsuccessfully. But it's maybe who I am.
Religion is a tricky topic, isn't it?
It
I
is.
feel like you said, a lot of people follow religious beliefs maybe above what their actual beliefs are. And that might sound kind of hypocritical or not accurate, but look, I do believe in a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I'm not fixated on any specific type of religion.
Yeah.
Right? Like Catholics. I got to be careful what I say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think a lot of people march to the beat of that religion and nothing else exists.
Yeah,
right.
It is. It is a form. And I think that's also that if that is what you choose to want to experience, if that is what you want, then okay. It is clearly not what I want. So I think that it's a matter of like, as long as, I think sometimes it's hard conversations to have with someone if they are very religious or convicted in their beliefs, where there's no gray area or no openness to perhaps expanding consciousness around a topic. And I think that's when it just becomes tricky, and that's all right.
Sure.
You don't have to.
What's something about Aubrey Worek that very few people know?
Oh, geez. Very few people know.
Without getting yourself into trouble.
Oh, all right. Okay. Oh, gosh. I wish I was prepared for this one.
What fun would that be?
I know. They don't know. Shoot. You go first. Oh, no, they know that.
I'm not asking you to say like deep, dark secrets or anything.
Yeah, just something
Hidden
silly.
talents, something silly, maybe something serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to, if
Yeah.
you can't think of anything, that's fine.
I know. I wish I was trying to come up with something very interesting. Because like what I do for a living, I'm very passionate about nutrition and fitness, but I'm very much like Steve Jobs with my food. Like before my son was born, my husband and I used to watch like a ton of food porn on the Food Network, and we learned how to cook really well. Specifically, my husband learned how to cook really well. And then Roman was born, and I was like, listen, there's nothing sexy about my cuisine. This is what it is. It's like standard. It's delicious. It's good quality. But when people ask me for recipes, I'm like, no, you are going to be eating salmon. Here's your broccoli.
Yeah.
And here's your white rice.
Keep it simple, stupid.
I do the simple approach with it. Right now, I just don't have the time or energy to be like, you know what? I'm going to Rachel Ray this thing, because I'm not. I know. Yeah, I'm not your girl for that.
How funny was it when I looked out to meet you when you got here? You're like,
I'm like, he'll understand. I was eating my
I got
turkey.
it. You're not the first.
I was like,
guest
you're prepared. Okay, I didn't think
who has
so.
been eating in the car.
It's like kind of around dinner time.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to have the devil's number 5.
You
At
did
least it's
not.
not called the devil's asshole. Do you have one of those?
It's a great bourbon name.
That would be. I think it's a hot sauce name.
That sounds like it would be.
You don't think? Yeah.
All right. You know what time it is?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh,
Almost
geez,
time
we're
to
doing it.
spill number 5. Yeah.
Do I get
Did you
to use
think
2
you
hands?
got like a free pass?
Oh, man.
'Cause you're.
Does anyone beat you, though? Oh, boy.
Hey, maybe this
I
is
did
going to
not
be the
practice
first.
this. I did not practice.
You-
See, I'm moving this.
You
just in
practice
case.
on the pole, and
I did.
that sounded.
I did practice on a pole, I mean. Okay.
And I'm going to ask you a question as we do this.
Hold
What?
on.
What?
Can I grip this?
What is?
I don't know. It's probably my technique. Oh, see? Why can't I grab how I want to grab, Shaun? Oh, no.
That's not how this
I don't
works.
I don't like
This
that.
isn't the Aubrey Worek show. This
I
isn't.
like my grip position
This isn't.
better.
This isn't poles and
Pints. That's a thing.
Ooh.
Well, that was a thing that
Oh.
I didn't make it. Well, I had it in my studio.
All right.
Okay.
You start when you're ready. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm starting here. Okay. Oh, come on, you asshole. All right.
What is a flaw that you have that you
flaw?
wish
I have
you
really
could
bad
change?
bunions.
Bunions?
Yes.
That's the flaw?
God did not make me into a foot model.
Come on.
Okay. All right. I don't like this grip. I told you that.
Look at your
Can you
bicep.
bite?
Look at that bicep in the camera.
That's a good shot. Okay. It's
All right,
not
we're
working
good.
for me. It's just for aesthetics. Okay.
So that was your flaw? Bunions?
I don't know. I think my biggest flaw is, being overly dramatic with my emotions. I think that is. I can get really intense with a capital I.
Has that gotten you into trouble before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time. It's like I'm hot to handle. It's like I'm this cute little monkey, and then like, oh, let's go pet the monkey. And then suddenly the monkey's like ready to throw poop on you.
When he becomes a gorilla.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that makes you intimidating to others that don't really know you?
So I think I'm only like that to people that I feel like they're pushing me, right? So I think that they probably already know me. Like I'm not like a road rager. I'm not like I don't want to paint the picture that I'm like completely like, oh my gosh, this BB crazy. I'm not. I think it's more or less like, very situational where again, it's probably like a knee-jerk reaction with some things where it's like, no, I feel like this is wrong. I feel very vehement about this, and I'm not just going to sit back and let this happen. So I'm a little bit, I think I need to allow myself. I think my husband is so good at balancing me out. He's like, Aubrey, you wait until you respond. You take pause before XYZ.
How do you feel when you don't get your way?
I think that I'm okay with that because I've not had my way in so many situations.
I think that's healthy.
Yeah, I really haven't. I'm definitely not like I was never like a spoiled brat or anything like that. I think in terms of not getting my way, I guess it just depends what that way is.
Fair.
My husband will tell you otherwise, for sure. He'll watch this and be like, okay.
I'm going to have him on and he'll be like,
Yeah,
oh,
I know.
little did you know.
He told me the other night, he's like, babe, you are a lot to handle. I'm like, that's every woman. Every woman is a lot to handle.
Women are complex.
Yeah. I mean, like in a good way. He wasn't
Sure.
like, oh my God, you're a lot to handle. He was just
You're a
like,
fucking basket case.
right. It
Yeah.
was just like, there's always like lots of energy, right?
Okay.
And so I was like, well, that's how, because, keeps life interesting.
He's like sneaking something into your...
Right?
Go to sleep, little one.
Simmer down, honey.
All right, Aubrey, anything else you have before we close out? Did you get everything off
Jeez.
your chest that you wanted to talk about?
I think so. I hope it was of value. When I watch your shows and everything, it's great to have connection with human interest stories because I do think, I love this quote. It's a Tony Robbins thing. It's like, what is most present in me is most common in others. So chances are if, we're thinking that a certain way, then a lot of times it's such a common thought. So it's helpful to connect and to heal through connection and to have that human side of everything that you're doing.
So being that you do watch a lot of these episodes, a lot of, actually the sole reason why I do this is you are going to help somebody, right?
hope
Through your
so.
story. So with that being said, could you target one thing about yourself that you've learned through life that that you have improved off of, or you really learned from, that is a common thing that maybe someone else out there goes through or deals with?
I think the most common thing is to recognize that we are all going through this life for the first time. And that's how you can stop becoming a victim. That's how you can stop blaming your parents. That's how you can stop, really just stop in general. We are all just trying to figure ourselves out and figure out how to go through life and what makes us feel our best. So I think that's my biggest, takeaway.
That's good. I think a lot of people use crutches from past experiences a lot and use that as an excuse of why they act today. Now, granted, I know people have been through some shit, and I've had a lot of guests on here that have been through some shit.
Yes, you have. Like, it's jaw-dropping.
Yeah. And I'm never going to be able to relate with a lot of those stories.
Yeah.
So I can't, I don't want to be that hypocritical person that says, oh, you shouldn't be feeling that way. Or, but, like you said, every day's a new day. You can transform your thoughts.
Yeah.
Right. Or your reactions.
Yeah. And that's so powerful when you can really master that.
Yeah. It takes work.
Practice.
Just like everything else.
Yes, it does.
Well, girl, it was a pleasure having you.
Yes, thank you.
You wore brass knuckles to the
did.
show?
I had to bring that because I was worried about the arm wrestling.
You were
so
going to punch me in the face
I
to
was
try and
like,
win.
Jeez.
That would have been good for the show.
I always wanted to throat punch somebody. I've never done that. Have you?
Have I ever throat punched somebody?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. No.
Oh, don't you?
Is that a
wanna do
common thing?
You know what I wanted to do is like really get someone in the bladder, like with like one of those like forearm. Yeah, because then it's like they go down and then they like pee their pants too. So it's kind of funny that you take them to their knees and you're like, Dad, you pissed yourself.
Pants. Oh my gosh. You should have did that to the Westinghouse guys.
I wanted to. I was so bad.
Have you ever
At least kick him in the shin.
have you ever throat punched somebody? If you did, comment below.
How'd it go?
On that note, watch one of these episodes. And don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you on the next episode of Barbells and Bourbon. Peace. Have you ever throat punched somebody?
I mean, because
What a way to close out.